Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Today we're going to look at jealousy. Does jealousy damage FBA progress? Hmm. Were there people who were jealous of Dr. King? Did Dr. King have people around him that meant him no good? Were they jealous? And if they weren't there, would Dr. King have realized that he was leading us in a burning house a little sooner and maybe would have had enough time to turn um, his rhetoric around to lead us in that house that wasn't on fire? And another question. Um oh Lord. I'm coming for you. What you funny? And did Afrocentrics overcompensate? Let's start a little backwards. Let's look at overcompensation. Let me explain that just a little bit. So during the 60s and the 70s, the white supremacists said so many derogatory things about black culture that the Afrocentrics overcorrected. And let's just be real, did a little lying. You know, they told us that we all from Africa and we wear dashikis and we speak Swahili. Was that overcompensation helpful? Well, nah, it wasn't. Well, let's look at jealousy. Does jealousy damage FBA progress?
Yes, it does, because it really makes me feel like, how do I help? Because I remember when Connie was out there at Power 106, there was a big contingent of people talking about, oh, look at her. She's just trying to get a man. And then if
Wow.
she didn't go out there, it would be, you're not doing the work, you're not boots on the ground. So, there's been several death threats. Arthur is being threatened with gunfire and everything else, just for coming up with different ways to, you know, um, get money to help people that are having problems. Um, he's been very transparent about every transaction, showing us every receipt that he mailed, showing us the responses from people he's sent letters to, showing us every step of the way of a trust he set up for Friedman. Every step of the way, trying to explain to people that don't know anything about it what's going on, and they are just muting him and treating him like trash. So, again, if you don't do anything, you're not doing the work, and we're doing the work, but nothing gets done. And if you try to do the work and look for other avenues to help, ingenious ways to help, then you're called a grifter. And so that's all Naeem does, is call people grifters, because I remember when that woman KD was raising money for Tennessee. She raised $40,000, and she had to prove to him specifically that she turned the money over to that state. I think it was the mayor. Um, who is he? Nobody. And if he really thinks that Arthur's going to open a trust and the government's going to put trillions of dollars and Arthur's going to run off to Mexico with it, you've got to be kidding me. You can't even move that kind of money. You can't move that kind of money. It's going to have oversight no matter where it goes. And if it doesn't go in his trust for Friedman, it's going to end up in Narcan and Cobra, and it's going to go to all the immigrants. So until somebody else comes up with a better idea, then that's a good idea. And we haven't gotten reparations yet. So all this arguing is just blowing smoke out of their jealous asses.
Yeah, see, I wasn't around. I've been so busy all day. But I can put two and two together. I had a talk with him last week, and I told him to stop going on people's platforms and entertaining their hate against him. To just don't even show up to the party, because he's helping platform people. He's giving them content, giving them something to talk to. Let them hate. Sometimes you want to have one good time where you explain yourself, but I would. He sits on those people's stage. I'll talk to him again, but I don't think he should keep entertaining it.
I gave him the same advice as well, but to be called a grifter with no proof and someone who's been more transparent than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, I'm seeing things that I don't even need to see. Like that you sent a letter to someone and the letter was received, and whether the letter wasn't received and the re-delivering of the letter. I mean, every step of the way. So, like I said, they don't have a better plan. All they want to do is uh, say people are not doing the work. And then when people try to do the work and are successful, they hate their guts to the point of violence. And I am screenshotting all these violent attacks, uh, violent verbal attacks and threats with gunfire, threats with fists. And I've had my share of threats. I was told that it's not safe for me. And that's because I defended the word freedman. Just that. I didn't get any money. I didn't collect funds over it. But just because I defended freedmen, I was threatened. So yeah, I don't even know what you call that. That's not even jealousy. It's beyond jealousy. It's outrageous behavior. And it's going to be dealt with. We're going to start filing papers on these people and making them feel very uncomfortable in their pockets for all this violence and calling people criminals when there has been no crime that they can prove.
Yeah, I look at this a whole different way. I see this is the system of white supremacy playing out. A lot of people are what uh, Professor Griff and the naval intelligence specialist Malcolm Nance call useful idiots. They don't know that they're being used by a whole nother system to do dirty work. What am I saying? I'm saying that people will somebody in our lineage will be doing work and become very effective at what they're doing, and people outside the system pulling strings will send a damn fool, useful idiot to go and attack them. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Greene says, we live in an era in which people are seldomly directly hostile. He says, the rules of engagement, social, political, and military have changed, and so must your notion of the enemy. Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. Robert Greene says, an upfront enemy is rare now and is actually a blessing. Ain't that deep? He said, an upfront enemy is a blessing. He says people hardly ever attack you in the open anymore, showing their intentions. Their desire is to destroy you. Instead, they are political and indirect. Although the world is more competitive than ever outward aggression is discouraged. So people have learned to go underground to attack unpredictably and craftily. Last but not least, he says many use friendship as a way to mask aggressive desires. They may come close to you to do more harm. So, you know what I'm saying? We need to be careful who we let roll with us and get up in our spaces and shit. Because we up here, you know what I'm saying, fighting for the lineage, fighting for our family, because we all family. And these motherfuckers come up around us to try to sink the ship. You know what I'm saying? Um, I land my plane.
Sorry, I was on the other screen. I'm going to bring up Stacy.
Yeah, if you can find Arthur, tell him to come. I was looking for him on the.
Yeah, I already kind of, yeah, he should be on his way.
Well, he can speak about, he doesn't have to disclose anything. Like I said, us being granted reparations has not happened yet. So we're arguing about something that hasn't happened and the jealousy just to hear the hatefulness over somebody that is really trying to help. And that's why nobody helps.
Mm,
That's why no one runs for office.
right.
That's why no one wants to be bothered because of that nastiness. And these people are just a bunch of retreads that's been rolling around in the activism space doing nothing for decades, trying to latch on to something.
I wonder. I often wonder if they on the payroll. Are they being sent here?
I don't know, but if new blood wants to come in and try different things, I mean, who else? I mean, Arthur has set up an anti-defamation league on his own, a one-man war against all these people online that are bugging us, calling us names.
And so, Wani, what all happened today? What happened?
Well, basically the same thing that happens all the time when you deal with these ignorant buffoons. They open up a space with your name in it and ask you to come in. I just went through this the other day. I was asked to come in because all the previous days I was arguing about the use of the term freedman, and I was explaining that no one is trying to change from Black American. It's just a raceless term that we're trying to use politically to be able to get resources, because they'll give resources to LGBTQ and immigrants because that's not a race or a gender. So we're trying to get a genderless, raceless term. So I think everybody knows that by now. So I was supporting the use of the term freedman, and all of a sudden, I was called a bitch because they don't like that. You know, Jake, April, and others, they don't want the use of the term. And they said, everybody's not a freedman. Everybody has not been declared a freedman after the Emancipation Proclamation. So I said, who wasn't declared a freedman? Because free people of color were freedmen then, and people that were enslaved were freedmen. So who wasn't a freedman? That's when I got called a bunch of bitches. Um, I'm trying to be logical. I really don't have a good, I'm not really good at what I'm doing right now. Like I said, I had to change my personality
I think you're doing fine, Wani.
to be on the app because I have a very violent personality, and I have been called a bitch one time in decades. And I get called a bitch every day on this app from the people within the group. Okay. So I'm trying to hold it together without doing my thing, which you don't want to see. Okay, you don't want to see it, and it's not me cursing either.
Mm. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at this through a historical lens. And like Professor James Small says, history will erase the mystery. What are we looking at? If these people, these uh, naysayers and negative Nancy's and name callers and slanderers um, are on the payroll, which I believe they are, we're looking at meritorious manumission. Dr. Claude Anderson says meritorious manumission is a legal act of freeing a slave for good deeds as defined by national public policy. Meritorious manumission could be granted to a slave who distinguished himself by saving the life of a white master, inventing a new machine, or snitching on fellow slaves. Stop right there. Saving the life of a white master. Let's look at the evolution of that. In the 16 and 18, 16, 1700s and 1800s, saving the life of a white master was literal. It was physical because slavery was physical. Like our brother Tariq Nasheed says, uh, to some extent, I'm paraphrasing, white slave masters were concerned about us slitting their throat. That's why they wanted to keep us in a state of dancing, and just made them feel better. But since 1804, as Jacob Carruthers points out in his book, slavery. And long story short, the system of white supremacy noticed Haiti in 1804 and said, "Oh shit, we can't have physical slavery anymore," and that catalyzed a chain reaction to wherein England led the charge and made slavery intellectual. Slavery went from chains to fucking chattel paper and money and credit scores and ideology. Right. So, given the fact it's in an intellectual standpoint, saving the life of a white master could be destroying the movement of somebody who could promote black liberation. I just said something deeper than a motherfucker if some of y'all heard me. So Arthur is out here promoting black liberation with succinct, cogent word of the day, cogent activity that is going to lead to our reparations. And some of these damn fools are being meritoriously manumitted to go against him. We need to watch our circles, ladies and gentlemen.
That's self-hatred. You can't see yourself. You can't see your people as being successful.
Yeah.
Something must be wrong with it. This is mental illness.
But yeah, white supremacy is mental illness, tactical mental illness.
Wow. I can't believe this happened. I thought all of that was over with.
Yeah. I don't recall Arthur being pejorative towards anybody either. Anyway, Stacy, what's on your mind, baby?
Hey, you guys, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing well.
Hey, Stacy.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, Wani. Thank you, Professor. I was thinking, I made a comment in the Purple Pill just so I could remind myself. Because one of the things, too, you mentioned about people, well, I put two comments, and then one of them was I said how keep your enemies close and your friends close and your enemies closer. And I feel like that's what they're doing. Like when you said they try to befriend us, they come in and we definitely got to watch it. We got to watch our backs. And it's so hard because I've recently been duped. Just found out I've been duped. Um, and the hard part about that though is I'm just not a fake person. I don't know how to keep my enemies close because I don't like if I have an enemy, I don't want you nowhere near me. Um, I don't know how to do the fake stuff. I just don't talk to you or don't associate with you. And I pull back. I wasn't kind of given some advice by someone to just not to let on that I know what I know now. But that's going to be hard to do. I still haven't decided if I want to continue yet. I have not dropped off yet, but I just have not associated. But the other thing I mentioned was in simple, I said, as I was listening, I was thinking, you know what? In simplest terms, bullying. Like when you said, does jealousy damage FBA progress? Um, yeah, it can. It has been to me. If I feel like it has been each time we try to make progress, you have these jealous people coming in and they keep kind of tearing us down. But although we stay strong and we still keep pushing forward and we still keep fighting, and I know eventually we'll eventually get what we need, not what we want, what we need, because this is a necessity. Because yeah, we want reparations, but it's we need it. It's owed. Period. You can't. I don't understand how people argue that. You can't really argue it. They try to, but it's like it's empty words. But when I say bullying, I had to dissect that because I thought, what is a bully? What really is a bully? What are they afraid of? Bullies are cowards. They're people who want to they try to throw their weight around and they try to threaten and hurt other people just to keep from getting hurt or losing some sort of position. They're just cowards. And so I feel like these people who are stepping in and trying to cut in to what we're doing, they're scared. There's so many different things they're afraid of. If they're immigrants, they're afraid of being sent home. They're afraid of being left out. I was listening to the spaces, a replay of one of Tariq's spaces earlier, and that one guy, I forget his name, but he mentioned something, and one thing I caught. I don't know if anybody else caught it, but he said, well, accusing us of being divisive, FBAs of being divisive, and saying that they're going to be the lowest ones now. That's like we're trying to make them the lowest, I guess the lowest on the totem pole or whatever.
Yeah, I
And
heard
I
that.
thought, yeah, and I thought, there it is. That's the other fear. Like, but it's like, the thing I just don't get, and I will never, I can never fathom. Everybody was, who was it? Oh my God, I can't remember his name, but
It's okay.
he's thank you. He always has he's so good when he speaks, and he totally was everything he was saying to this dude, you could not argue it, but he was still trying to find a way to argue. And all he does is try to talk over people when they come in. It was two people that was roasting his butt. And I thought, why are you trying to still argue this? Dude, you're in our country. I don't care if you were born here. Your parents fled here. to make a so-called quote unquote better life for y'all or a better life for you. And the thing that pisses me off is they flexed so hard that they were not black, not black, not black, not black. I look at old shows. I was just watching an old episode of What's Happening, and they're saying black. They didn't say African American. They didn't say nothing. They said black. And black has been used for so long, and we are black. How many of those folks come over here and like, I'm not black, I'm not black, I'm not black. And as soon as we start getting traction on the reparations, now it's like, oh, I'm black. Why are you being divisive? Hold on a minute. You didn't want to be black. Now you want to be black? You can't change. It's too late. You can't change your mind. We were telling you that, yeah, the cops see you just like they see us. They're going to treat you just like they treat us. But you didn't want to listen. You wanted to kiss white supremacist ass. And now that you see that it ain't going nowhere, you're accusing us of thinking we're better than you. Well, honestly, I think we are. We are better than them. Sorry, but we are. But regardless of that, um, it's like, why are you trying to jump in now? And they don't want to. Some of them will say it, but they don't always want to say it. It's like, no, you want a piece of something that you have not earned, that your ancestors did not earn, and that's what pisses me off. And I'm so sorry. I'm just like, I get so frustrated. And then when they come in, they come in our spaces. They want to be nosy. They want to see what we're doing. They're spying, and then they're trying to find every way they can.
Let's stop right there for a second, Stacey, because you said something, and I'm
Uh-huh.
not trying to interrupt you, but
No, no, you're fine. Go
you gave me a
ahead.
rare opportunity. So
Hmm.
that's where I step in. I'm tactical. I think of life like a game of chess. You know what I'm saying? And what I want to know who the fuck you are. You know what I'm saying? I want to know who these people are. You know what I'm saying, Stacy? So let's go back to the basics. Rule of war number one. Um, of number one strategy of war rather is called the polarity strategy. Now, FBA's write this down. You want to polarize these motherfuckers because all I want to know is who you are. And the best way to polarize them, the best way to find out who these ops are, according to Robert Greene, he says, quote, the best way to get people to reveal themselves is to provoke tension in an argument. So provoke an argument. And he also says a sharply worded question, an opinion designed to offend will make them react and take sides. So you kind of want to draw out the poison to find out who they are. I wonder if someone gonna walk up in this space just because we had a we gonna see someone walk up in this motherfucking space because we got does jealousy damage FBA progress? They gonna come up in this motherfucker. But go
And
ahead and land your plan, Stacey.
Well,
it's a
I
lot
Go.
just
of
found that
bullying
space.
too.
Somebody
Oh,
just
which
sent me
one?
this space that where they're talking shit about Arthur Watkins, and for some reason,
Mhm.
this woman has blocked a lot of legitimate AFB people in the movement. She
Mhm.
already has certain people blocked, which tells me where her mind is, which tells me where she's going with this, because I ain't never had a conversation with her ass,
Well,
Hmm.
and she got me blocked.
I got an interesting video with her right in the middle of it.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, Wani, good.
Audio, video.
Hmm.
Yeah, just with that said, Professor, you are absolutely right. Pretty much was kind of like done with what I had to say. Uh, the whole thing infuriates me. But you know what? You are absolutely right. There is nothing like letting a person, kind of creating that tension and just letting them talk, and eventually they're going to tell on themselves. So you are absolutely right. I got to learn how to do that.
Oh yeah, we all learned. Go ahead, Wani.
I was just gonna say, where's all this smoke for Narcan and Cobra?
Hell
Who
yeah.
literally gets millions of dollars,
Preach.
misappropriates it, and has it going into immigrant hands. Where's all the smoke for them?
Preach.
This is really strange because when I was arguing about the use of the term freedman, I was on my own. In the moment that Naeem saw that room that said more on it, he came running up on me talking about wanting to debate me on Moors. Okay? Like you're defending the Moors, but you didn't defend Freedmen? What is that? You saw a whole argument about Freedmen and didn't say a peep. But
Right.
then you want to run up on me and talk about Moors. So I went into the room. He asked me to come into the room. He immediately muted me, and his little girlfriend started screaming at me, like, "What is with that dude? Uh, how? Why is he that mad at me? I don't know him. He's just highly agitated." Naeem and his little boyfriend need to shut the fuck up because I don't know what they think they're gonna do about it. That's the issue I have. What the fuck are you gonna do about it?
But that goes back to the strategies of war wanting. What did you do? Um, you provoked. You it maybe was unintentional, but you followed a rule of war. You according to Robert Greene, the best way to get people to reveal themselves is to provoke tension and argument. A sharply worded question and opinion designed to offend will make people react and take sides. He revealed himself. Um, but what we need to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm really serious about this one here, because we've been trained. Um, Maybe Wani and Nikki can add more light on why we've been trained to kind of be cordial and to just give people chances. And why are we like that? Why do we want to play the high road? That's a mistake. Robert Greene says, "Quote: Danger is everywhere. There's always hostile people and destructive relationships. The only way to break out of a negative dynamic is to confront it. Repet- repressing your anger, avoiding the person threatening you, always looking to conciliate. These common strategies spell ruin." And that's what we do. We try to make things right and conciliate. But these motherfuckers they at war. Robert Greene says, quote, avoidance of conflict becomes a habit and you lose the taste for battle. Feeling guilty is pointless. It is not your fault you have enemies. Feeling wrong or victimized is equally futile. In both cases, you are looking inward, concentrating on yourself and your feelings instead of internalizing a bad situation. He says to externalize it and face your enemy. It's the only way out. That's what we need to do, FBAs. Is stop taking stuff in. Dr. Amos Wilson said we inculcate like something bad. That's that slave trade. That's how that fucked us up. What happens is something traumatic happens, and we first thing we say is, "What did I do wrong?" When we didn't do a goddamn thing wrong. Provoke them, bring them in, and draw their goddamn sorry ass out like a poison.
Mm. Yeah, you can't. A lot of times you don't have to have done anything wrong. It's about people just wanting to sit in a position that you're sitting in, and them trying to push you out, trying to make you look like some type of demon. I feel like that's what Arthur is experiencing. I think what he is experiencing is someone else wanting to be the one to lead that part of the movement. They want the attention for doing that, and he just does it better. He's gotten a lot done quicker than everyone else who has been sitting up talking about it for years. He's actually shown results, and I think it's it's damaging to people's ego to have him around. It makes them feel a certain way about themselves.
Yes, that's been a problem with, some of the men on the app. They get jealous of Tariq, make comments about the museum, and act like everything is a grift. And it's like, how are these things grifts? Books are for sale, movies are for sale, museum tickets are for sale.
And the museum, the Hidden History Museum doesn't charge a cover, does it?
I don't know,
I don't
but
think it does.
maybe they change things here and there. And they also use the venue for different things, which is brilliant and done by every museum that I've ever known. And they criticize it, and it makes no sense. These things are not grifts. People are writing books, directing movies, and selling things like everybody else that makes books and movies. What do you expect them to
What
do? Sit on the app and get nothing
that's
and produce music and movies and videos and humor and everything else? I mean, come on.
that shit drives me crazy, Wani, because like we are, you know what I'm saying? Like Brother Tariq got a whole museum, like helping the lineage, and people would dare fucking criticize a museum, but they don't say shit to these Holocaust museums. They
Right.
don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't got no smoke for these other museums out here on every corner. drawing millions of dollars worth of federal grants. I worked for the Smithsonian, for Christ's sake. And when I was at Smithsonian, they barely had any black employees, drawing hundreds of millions of dollars. And we ain't got no smoke for that. Matter of fact, we treat it like it's prestigious. But when we do something, it's always a grift. It makes me crazy. That's that meritorious manumission bullshit. People are in defense of the system of white supremacy and don't even know they're doing it.
Well, this is
Oh, we
coming.
got Adonis in the building.
Oh,
Come
I
on
don't
up, brother.
understand. What's up?
Adonis, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, room? Oh, you can hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, this topic is so interesting to me. I thought you guys were 100% correct. It's like a lot of people don't realize that to do these things costs a lot of money, and it's very counterintuitive to sit down and think like, oh, we're not going to financially back the people who are putting their faces and their lives on the line to actually progress this agenda that we're trying to do, and any type of means for them to actually benefit from this to actually put more money because everyone knows like if you're doing business itself, you have to reinvest that money or you gotta as a tax write-off. You either use it as a tax write-off or you don't use it, and then that's just bad business. So if somebody is like you see somebody putting like when I look at Tariq Nasheed and everybody thinks their own way and that's all cool. But when you somebody who's in the forefront visually at talking to people, addressing people, standing on the forefront, how can you not sit there and be like, nah, he's putting his face on the line. Like you look at all these other black Americans who've put their face on the line, and every single one of them either ended up dead with a crazy disease in the most diabolical conditions, and you got another person that's putting his face on the line and is like, yo, I'm gonna do the work, and I'm gonna make books, I'm gonna make this stuff, and people saying everything's a grift. How is it a grift, bro? I don't get that. That don't make no sense. And it just baffles me to hear these points. It's like, bro, what? At any moment in time, these white supremacists could come and take any one of us out.
That's
What?
what they want. That's their goal. They want us dead. They're literally bullying. I've been bullied by that same dude and his little friend for 4 years.
It's insane. It's insane. I don't know. But even in our community, we have the similar type of situation. I don't know these words. And when I hear people use these words like divisive, grift, these type of words make me feel uncomfortable. It's like what? I don't know. That's just me though. But keep me going. Sorry, Professor. Well, appreciate you bringing me up to the room. I love this panel here, by the way.
Oh yeah, man, you're
Great
more than
subjects.
welcome. Hopefully you'll come back. I want to hit y'all with something out of Robert Greene's strategy of war. I'm a strategist. And Robert Greene says some powerful shit about the situation we're dealing with, about the people like Tariq Nasheed, people like Dr. King, Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying, Bill Cosby, great people, Wani Spots. What Robert Greene says, quote, being attacked is a sign that you are important enough to be a target. You should relish in the attention and the chance to prove yourself. They're telling you who you are when they attack you.
Let me tell you where this bullying began with me. I feel like venting and whining into the space.
Come on
So
with
I
it.
rarely ever do it. But we were working on
It's
the
okay,
oh
Sister Wanda. Go ahead. We here to listen. We love you.
thank you. Thanks.
Come on with it,
Now,
Thanks,
how,
Wani.
now, how
Sister
does that
Carla.
make you feel?
I appreciate it. I really do. Because thank you, CC Capone. Look, this is really what happened. We were working on the OMB description on a Google Doc, and we were going back and forth like, should we say this? Should we say that? Should we mention this? And we agreed to mention all of our previous names, Negro and, mulatto and all this other stuff. So we were working on where we are saying we are located. So I have gathered research from geneticists and everything all over the world to clearly define our lineage, clearly define our genetics, even though the OMB said they don't care, that they're going to judge us by perceptions, which is why we're being called Africans. But we were gathering this anyway. I got all the information together. We put together a very tight description, and then we took it. And well, I don't want to skip forward, but Naeem and his little Moorish friend erased what we put and put in that we were from the Levant region because they want to say we're from the Middle East and we're Moors, and we made an orderly movement over here all as one group, which is false. And it's not backed by history, science, or
But
anything.
why? Why? Ask why would somebody do that? Why?
He's a Moor.
To have diplomatic immunity over that because they tried to get me like
He's a
that years
Moor.
ago. Yeah, over that more stuff.
So he backed up off of it because this is the OMB and they're not trying to listen to anything like that. So he backed up off of it. And after that, he called himself giving me a tongue lashing in the chat. Like, you're trying to push an ideology. I was like, how is just saying our ethnicity an ideology? So him and his friend got angry, and I said, okay, fine. Well, we still agreed to do it the correct way. So I didn't care. I thought it was behind me. But apparently they're livid. They have held on to this hatred toward me, and I was minding my business, not talking to them anymore. And they made a comment on the timeline. Well, she did have her little description of our lineage. Little description. That's what everybody across the world says about our background and our genetics. So he said I had my little description, and he did still pouting because we can't say we're from the Levant region and that we're Moors. Had a whole meltdown over the use of the term Black American. So he doesn't like the term Black American, but wants to be all over Black American business. He doesn't believe he's a freedman, and that's when people were going after the term freedman. He had not one word to say, but had a lot to say about us use talking about the term more. So this is very strange. That's bullying. And a couple days ago, or maybe yesterday, I'm losing track of time, he said that I need to come in to the room to talk about the previous room we had where we discussed Hebrew Israelites, Moors, and whatever, and Pan Africanists. So I go into the room, he immediately mutes me. He mutes Mr. Freedom, who's a Moor. He mutes everybody. He didn't want to debate the guy. He said he brought the guy in to debate him, never debated him, just muted us, and then kicked us out. What was that? You open a room to tell us off and have a debate, and then you just mute us and act like a real, it was so feminine, it was crazy. I felt like I was the only man in the room. These two were screaming, muting, blocking, and doing everything they could do. Why not just let us say a couple of sentences? They said they didn't want to hear me. And you can go listen to that room that Naeem created to have a fight about the Moors. You won't believe I didn't get to say anything. It's crazy. Anyway, that's my rant for today. This is nothing but bullying. I really want to get down to it because I had some high school bullies, and they got destroyed. I put up with some bullying, and then at some point, I didn't. And I'm not going to do it now. So we need to move to the third part of this scene. What are you going to do about it, Naeem? If we do things you don't approve of, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Let's get to that stage. Let's get to that stage now so we can clear this up. I want to know what the fuck you're going to do about it. That's my
Man,
question.
you ready to dance, Miss
I'm
Money,
ready to
ain't you?
dance.
I
I'm ready
love
to
you.
dance right now so we can get past it. Because I'm not
Man.
going to live under threats from a bunch of hood rats. I'm not doing it. Old, broken down hood rats that haven't
I heard about it.
accomplished
I'll be
shit.
protecting your name in them extra spaces though, because like I
Yeah,
hear
they're
them
very
talk bad
mad.
on you because there was I think it was one this morning. A Pia was in there
Hmm.
hollering some bullshit, and then I was just like, bro, just shut the fuck up. Like they do that because they know where they at right now. You know, they always gonna be underclass compared to us due to the situations of our accolades from our ancestors, and that's what makes them nervous. They don't want to be that, and so they kiss ass, suck up, find all ways to undermine us, then try to come in when times is good and act like us. These motherfuckers is parasites. They're parasitic and they're dangerous. They're dangerous to the collective, in general. And I think the only jealousy comes from the people who ain't got nothing moving. The people who hate on Tariq, you, Professor, everybody, in the lineage protection movement. They don't have nothing going for themselves. Because, real people doing the work and real players ain't finna hate on the next one. You know what I'm saying? And that just shows, the holes in their game and the bitchness in them. If they got some sucker shit in them, they can't be around no real players because they'll get called out, and we need to bring that back. We need to bring back dignity in the game because this shit getting out of hand for real, especially with the coons. The coons, that shit got to go. Or the Congressional Coon Caucus and all them other, yeah, all that shit is bad for business all the way around. And I like what we doing right now. I appreciate you, Professor, Sister Wani, Sister Nick, all the greats really putting in the work. Y'all are, chosen from the ancestors to keep this movement going and the spears and tips sharp in this game. So don't let outsiders come in and you know talk shit because I follow a lot of people and I just go in the rooms to stir shit up just to see where no shit going. Just to get some verbal judo in and get some practice because I do need that sometimes because I'm not really a patient person when it comes to words. So I'm just a couple sentences away from just fucking shit up. It's just like, okay, you mad? Okay, I'm mad too. Okay, let's go. Shit, it's just, it happens. It's just, I go into these crazy ass spaces with these musty ass meerkats and just see what the fuck they talking about and just to see what's going on and shit. But, I don't give a damn because I know who I'm really fighting for and I got to know who my enemy is. I was reading Sun Tzu the other day. That's one of my favorites. The best war to be in is the one your enemy don't know he fighting. And so we got to take these tactics from all of our enemies, including the Jews, and get our checks, and I land on that. Love, peace, reparations, delineations, and deportations. And I love you, Sister Wani.
I love the fact.
Oh,
Love you
Professor,
too,
I'm gonna
Sister
need your
Swan.
help too because I just started my Python class.
Okay,
So
Whoa.
yeah, I'm gonna get in touch with you on the DMs, my brother.
no doubt I might have a book for you.
Was
Oh, I'm
was
gonna need that
Arthur
too because I got your last book.
Well, I'm not gonna
was
sell it to you.
Adonis
I'm just look, I'll take
Yes,
pictures for it.
please.
You got the book.
I
I
think
appreciate you.
Maurice left. Let me see.
was Adonis done talking
Oh, I don't think
when he was?
I'm not
Did he get to?
sure.
I don't think he landed his plane. Go ahead, Adonis.
Oh, so all right, so here's some quick game, real quick. Um, I feel like there's a different way that we should be approaching these things, and I've started doing something. It's funny that he said coons. So basically, what I've been doing for a while, and a lot of people don't notice it, but now that I'm saying it, you're gonna start noticing it. I've been taking over narratives. And what do I mean by that? So I've been like basically making content and using specific narratives. And when they watch the videos, it
You a smart
counteracts.
brother. You a smart brother doing the side y'all told him.
That's
I got you a
clever.
smart man.
Clever.
You a smart man.
So for the past year or so, anything that has to do with Black Americans, oh, Black Americans get destroyed or by UK Brits or Black American, like I literally dominate the whole narrative of it. So anytime someone talks about it, my video of the counteracting situation is gonna happen. And that's what I would suggest everybody start doing. Start controlling narratives. Make that the title of the video, but the education, handle it professionally, of course. Don't be diabolical. Like, don't be cursing people out. Handle it very professionally and very educationally and let it speak for itself. So that's just a quick little game that I've been doing for the last year. And now that I say it, y'all gonna start noticing like, oh,
Facts, because hey, brother, that's the same. Not to interrupt you, but that's the same thing Charlie Kirk been doing for years on college campuses. So yeah, we need to take that. We need to take that in and start doing that shit ourselves. You're right, absolutely, 1,000,000%.
So you think that we should just take certain subjects, certain
No,
narratives,
Sister
just
Nikki, just give
dominate?
them ear bait. Yeah, give them ear bait. Say, oh, FBA, all it's all fucked up situation like he's saying, and then come in, dominate the situation just to show them our accolades and how well we doing. That's a good idea. Charlie
so
Kirk do that shit all the time.
there's a I so for a couple of times, like some of my videos, I have like the title would be like, Black Brits destroy Black Americans, or UK Brits destroy Black Americans. And then when you click the video, you'll sit down and watch this person try to come at me. But the way I just handle them, or this another video I uploaded was me with this racist white guy from Texas who was disrespecting me on Black History Month. And the way I chef this guy up in the most intellectual way, in the most respectful, cool, calm, and collective way, it just counteracts the opinion of that particular perspective. So anytime anyone, like, I generally feel like my this is just my personal biases, my personal perspective. I generally feel like white America set the UK Brits, the African Caribbean Brits, they're like sleeper cells to combat us in the next 10 years. I generally feel like that. So for right, and I think I caught onto it way too early. They wasn't ready, and that's why we look at all of these UK Brits coming into America, taking our acting roles and our positions, and they slowly becoming insurgents into our culture. So I think I caught onto that way before white America was ready to release that big bubble. And I've already pushed a crazy narrative. So when like I don't think like I completely derailed the whole plan of that whole situation. So on YouTube right now, anything that has to do with Black Brits versus Black Americans, I completely dominate that narrative. I completely dominate that niche, and it's nothing that any Brit will ever be able to say if they ever do say anything about Americans or Black Americans. There'll be a video that Black Americans don't know where they come from. There will be a video counteracting that perspective and re-educating them. So that's what I would suggest. So whatever your field is, whatever you're good at, whatever you're known for in your own head, and you feel like, oh, they always say this about us, they always say that about us, grab that title, have an interaction or a conversation with what a person who believes that, and then upload that content with that title that's saying their narrative. And then when people watch the content, it proves your narrative is correct.
That's very interesting, Adonis. Capone said brought up Sun Tzu, and it was on my mind. But Adonis, when you said that, I thought about Sun Tzu in The Art of War. Sun Tzu says, "Don't depend on the enemy not coming. Depend rather on being ready for them." So Adonis gave you a reversal tactic. When he hits you with some propaganda, you have some propaganda ready for his ass.
I
Can I
really,
Right?
say something
Thank
real
you,
quick?
Adonis.
uh,
Thank you
Oh,
so
I'm
much,
sorry.
Adonis.
I just
I
wanted
just
to,
wanted.
oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh, I wanted to
Go ahead,
say.
Wani.
Go ahead, Wani. Anyway, go to Miss Stacy.
I was just gonna say I do like watching Adonis's. He's got it set up really like a cliffhanger to get you over there to the YouTube. But I really like watching those clips. They're very, very telling. I mean, they just seal the deal on what I've been learning since 2019. It's really, those are some very interesting people, and I did not, I might have gone to all those countries, but I didn't see all that. It was just hi guys, and everybody was smiling and being, amicable. But they have a different attitude when we really get down to it. They have a lot of, uh, you know, hatred brewing right beneath the surface toward us. At the
Right.
same time, the part that's so strange is that you're copying us and trying to sound like us while you hate us. That's got to be one of the most disarming things about this. I mean, if you don't like somebody, why are you trying to do every move like them? It is really social survival. These people would not survive unless they made an attempt to do that. We already know that all men across the world have to, uh, you know, imitate Black American men.
You know what
All
they're
of them.
doing? I know why they're doing that now. So, all right. So at first, it was a way for them to socially be accepted in these white areas, these white demographics, and then the white society erased and colonized and institutionalized them to take away the pro-black in them and use them as their own particular agents. Now they're trying to recreate our history. If you haven't seen that video of that, those Caribbean aunties saying that they soul food is not only for Black Americans,
Right.
they're
Facts.
setting it up. It's crazy right now, and I'm just sitting there, just like I don't like I said. I think I got here at the right time because these guys are just diabolically disrespectful, and they're trying to take over our storyline. And I think that the best way to move forward with this is to address it in a non-aggressive, educational way. And at the same time, I'm just going to say this: I do not go on their platforms. I don't care if they have a room open. I don't care if they have an audio room or any of that stuff. I'm not going up there. They don't want to learn shit. They just want to farm our reach for our name for rage bait and get more people in there. I don't associate with none of them platforms. They want to chat with me. They come on my platform and we can have that chat and they'll get destroyed there. But I'm not going on their platform and giving them no type of likeness at all. So that's just my 2 cents.
Well, that's very dangerous, Brother Adonis. What you just said is very true, but it's dangerous. Black Americans, we need to realize war when we see it. Professor Noam Chomsky wrote a book called Manufacturing Consent that talked about this strategy. What they're doing by taking over our narrative and manufacturing a false narrative is they're manufacturing, just like you make a goddamn pair of tennis shoes, they're manufacturing an attitude of vitriol towards Black Americans. So, if the situation should arise where we're in a social conflict, there would be no sympathy for Black Americans should they do a mass eradication situation. Let's look at Sexy Red, for example. Sexy Red, who is not a creation of her own ideology. I was told a white man created her persona of a certain faith. If y'all know where I'm going with this, Sexy Red is man. What type of consent is Sexy Red manufacturing for the United States of America for Black FBA women? What type of sympathy is she manufacturing? She's manufacturing the lack thereof. She's reinforcing a narrative. She's reinforcing a stereotype or an attitude towards Black women that is completely false in its creation, and more applicable actually to European women, if I should be truthful, according to history. But we just need to be careful with these narratives. A narrative is everything, ladies and gentlemen. And what Wani was saying about these people that want to be our friend and act like us but hate us at the same time. Again, let's look at rule of warfare number one. Robert Greene says, quote, many use friendship as a way to mask aggressive desires. They come close to you to do harm. They can't touch a Black man, can't fucking touch them. The only way they can touch them is two ways. Number one, to act like a friend to get next to him, or number two, the one they use more often, to turn his best friend, the Black woman, against him. Miss Stacy, you had a comment.
Oh, I just kind of had a question. And I just was kind of wanted confirmation to make sure I understood what Adonis, what he does, and I want to be able to start watching those videos of his. So because I think that is so awesome. Like first, I was, well, in my mind, the way my mind works was like, oh, so it's kind of like clickbait. Like basically you're putting that out there as if, oh, this person roasted me. And then when we click on it, we see that no, actually it was the other way around. If is that correct? Kind of like,
No, in each
oh,
one of
sorry.
these videos, and well, I can't. For one, I can't say that. I can't agree to that, because that's a crazy statement for me to even agree to that. I'm just saying, in any capacity, even if it was, I wouldn't be able to
Well,
agree to
not
that. I'm just
roasted,
like,
but you know what I mean. Like the
yeah,
person you said you
I'm
take their
saying this.
title and okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So what I did was, like recently I've gotten to a like the UK is like furious with me at this moment in time, and it's not because they're educated; it's because they refuse to do their proper due diligence to do the research itself. So I've had multiple different creators who've tried to come for me on social media, and I had to really just pack their asses up. And one of the things was like, yeah, but look at your titles. All your titles say these diabolical things, and I tell them, I say, my titles say what they are saying. So one video, I met this guy. He was from Congo. He was from in the UK. He was wearing an NBA jersey, a Nuggets jersey, and his first line that he said to me was, "Black Americans are the most lost people in the world." So I grabbed that title and put it in the title, and that was the first thing he said. And he's like, "Look at this title," and I'm like, "Yeah, but that's what he said." Every one of these videos, the title is diabolical, but it's coming out of their mouth. So when you watch the video, you literally see them saying it, and then the opposite happens. So it's not clickbait. It's a real situation. It happens. He says it, but the way I handle it just re-educates that no, these people lack education. And check your source. Does that
Okay,
help?
so poor choice of words, and it perfectly explained. Thank you so much, and I understand. That's crazy, and it's funny the fact that you said that because he's talking about FBAs, but yeah, he's wearing a basketball jersey from a USA team. So yeah, they're diabolical.
Right. What basketball team is in Congo?
And they probably don't even
Right.
know what it is. Sometimes they don't even know what they're wearing.
Right. No, no, no. I love my
They get our
boyfriend shirt and shit.
leftovers. They get
Hmm.
all our leftover clothes.
Bro, I had this kid like come up to me, and he was wearing a Death Row sweater or shirt, and I asked him like, "Oh, you know what that shirt from?" And he's like, "Nah, I just bought it because it was cool." I'm like, "What?" He said Death Row Records. He didn't know nothing, bro. Look, I don't know. I say this. There's two different things, and this is just a public service announcement. All right, not blaming anybody for this. I just gotta put this in the air for the ecosystem to hear. Um, Personally, I don't think everyone, and this is just a general statement. Nobody take it any type of way, but I have to say it. Personally, I don't think that in our particular community, everyone does things the most correct way. I think the older generation has a more aggressive way of doing things, which can kind of rub people the wrong way. And I think there's a better way of getting the point across and pushing the message forward in a new generation. I think with social media right now, when this what I've just I can only use me as an example, but what I've been doing is I haven't really been, oh, well, probably in the last couple interviews of me interacting with people, I've been checking people and jumping down their throats, pause. But what I've been doing with these interviews for a very long time is I never give my opinion. I just educate them with historically accurate facts, and I leave the space open for other people to come to their own conclusion. So I would never say like diabolical shit in pro FBA, but I'll give them the historical facts. So if they say Black Americans don't know where they come from, I say, well, Black Americans, America in general, has the most documented history on each individual lineage in the world at this moment in time. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Nigeria. You're from Nigeria? Well, wasn't Nigeria formed in the 1800s? Hold on, you're Nigerian, right? Yeah. Okay, so who actually named Nigeria Nigeria? Do you know? No. And then I educate them. Well, it's Flora Shaw, a white woman who named Nigeria Nigeria. And then
Preach.
that just, that gives that credibility and it's educating them. But for the people that's watching it, I'm not really checking him, and their brain is going to start processing. Yo, check your source. These guys are the American, the Black American is the teaching this guy what he's saying. And these guys are being disrespectful, so they look ignorant, they look quite diabolical, and then you just look chill. So I really do think that it's time for us to stop being so upset and angry with this shit and just fall back and out chest them, because we got more documentation than them. We got more education than them. We don't really need to be upset. We could just make them look stupid. Plus, they haven't been dealing with the white man like we've been dealing with the white. I hate saying the white man. That sounds crazy, but they haven't really been dealing with these diabolical, strategical white people in America. So they not up to par with our processor, our mental process. They haven't been competing at the highest level. So if you really don't need to get upset with them to actually outchest them. That's just my 2 cents.
I would say, and you're right, Adonis. You're right. My dad used to always say, the moment you get it emotional, you lose. And what did Mike Tyson say? He said the game plan goes away when the first punch is thrown. I'm paraphrasing him, but that's true. But I just want to remind our family that emotion was used as a tool of control. Trauma is a way to control people in psychology. So it was intentionally emotional. Uh, Trauma was imbued upon us to be kind of a calling card for classical, what's called classical conditioning. Black Americans have been, we don't know that these motherfuckers have studied psychology and used psychology on us throughout that slave trade. If you've seen the movie Get Out, when she touches that glass a little bit, that's a sound that's used. That's classical conditioning. But as the story goes, Pavlov, a Russian psychologist, um, had dogs, and he would feed the dogs, and every time the dogs would eat their meal, he would ring a bell, ding 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 ding. Ding. He did it so many times that he didn't have any food, and he'd ring the bells, and the dog's mouth would have a automatic response. Their mouths would start watering. That's critical. That's important, because what Pavlov did, what he proved, is you can control somebody with an outside stimuli. No different than a goddamn Xbox controller controls fucking Mario Brothers or whatever. So this system's so sophisticated that it's used in external trauma to control our behavior to a certain extent. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because the system is very aware of this. These people talk about it in closed rooms. They don't bring it up around us. So they rely on our emotional responses to get us out of that chess game Adonis was talking about, out of that game and get into their game where they have the Xbox controller and they're controlling us. So we need to fight the urge to get emotionally triggered. And I know I'm being a hypocrite with that because I'm the first one to get triggered. I really get triggered with these diasporic motherfuckers who my granddad and mom and them got beat up in Birmingham, Alabama, so they could come over here, and they come over here and spit in our face, take a medical school appointment or law school appointment from me, and then call me a stupid nigga. Like that triggers me. But we need to try not to be triggered. I lost track of who was next. I saw housing and no taxation. I'm not sure which one of y'all were up here first.
Go ahead, no taxation.
Go ahead, no taxation. No taxation. Can you hear us?
There's housing, there's rob the whip.
Go ahead,
Go
Hal.
ahead, housing.
Hello, everyone.
Hey man, what's going on?
Okay. Brother Donis, I just want to say one thing. That was well said. But we always have to keep a couple of pit bulls on deck at the end of the day. And Wani is one of them at the end of the day. Uh, Now, y'all was mentioning about, does jealousy damage FBA? Absolutely. The progress, absolutely. It's like this here. We could use the Democrats and we could use the Republicans. One thing about the Republicans, right? Their knife is always in their hands. They let you know who they are. But the Democrats, they got the knife behind their back and they smiling at you. It's the same way with the people in our own group, you know? Like so many of us is like attacking each other for no reason. No reason at all. But also you have a lot of haters that I'm gonna use Wani as an example because I was listening to the space yesterday, and they was just saying some real messed up stuff, and I ain't like it. I was just listening, but I shout out Brother McCall because he came in Wani's defense. He held that down. Shout out to Brother McCall.
What was he defending?
He was just basically saying that Wani is a good person, and I stand.
No, I mean, what were they complaining about? Me wanting to use Friedman as a status?
Yes, the word game. I, it was basically about you know what should we, what description we should have when it comes to reparations. That's what
But
that
they
was about.
devolved into name calling, correct? And I'm also blocked, so I
Yeah,
don't get to defend myself. I'm
yeah,
blocked.
yeah.
Because
Well, that's
again,
those are coward. But listen,
yeah, they are
those are
cowards.
coward moves. There, you follow me? When one attacks one, that means that you're doing something that they don't have the ability to do. You follow me, Wani? They don't have your style. They don't have your charisma. They don't have your tenacity. They don't have none of that. So they gotta dig in their little crate and say the most despicable stuff to make themselves feel better at the end of the day. But keep doing what you're doing, Wani. Now I have a question for the room. Why is it that everybody's fighting over, what uh someone to use when it comes to Freeman, when it comes to
Because they
FBA?
don't understand what we're doing. They're very ignorant. They think this is like a clique in high school and they don't like a certain name. And it doesn't have anything to do with that. We're just trying to revive. It's already been revived. We're just trying to use Freedmen because it's a genderless and raceless term in case someone says, oh no, you can't, we can't do anything based on race. Well, you can do something based on status. So that's basically what we're trying to do with that term. Even I was slightly confused, but at least I shut up and understood because at first I said, well, I want them to put Black American. I want a drop down box that has all of our names, but I think that he wants to just have it separate, and then we can work on who's under that Black American box as a separate project. Um, Again, nobody's going to be happy with all these randoms coming over here calling themselves Black American. White America is not the equivalent to Black America. White America means a bunch of Europeans from Poland and Sweden and England have come over here, where Black American means our ethnicity. It's not an umbrella over all of these other groups. And that's where the white boy is trying to play games. Oh, white America, Black America, what's the problem? The other issue is that the people that are coming to the country calling themselves white Americans, they're coming from first world countries, right? And they have boundaries. You don't have Polish people opening up pizza restaurants saying that they created pizza. Okay, they have defined cultures, but we have a lot of third world, really weirdo people coming over here. They don't have any identities, they're desperate to fit in, and they don't care who they ethnicize. I mean, usually they genocide each other to settle these problems. So I guess we should consider ourselves lucky that we're just having our hip hop stolen and not having our heads cut off and tucked under our armpits like I've seen them do to other people that they're at odds with. So we're dealing with a whole nother group of people, and it's not the same thing as white people immigrating here and going into white neighborhoods. It's definitely not the same, not the same quality of people, and any of these people need to be vetted before they come into the United States anyway, no matter where they come from. We don't need European trash, we don't need Asian trash and gangs, and we don't need African trash and East African gangs importing themselves over here.
Right, right. And another thing I want to touch on is like the brother Donis. He made a valid point. Like they coming over here and they basically like just trying to be us, because you have these guys that have sites on how to talk Black American, how to talk hip, how to do this and they all from the continent of Africa, mainly Nigeria. And he mentioned that a guy had a T-shirt on, a basketball jersey on. He don't know where it came from. I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned this to you guys of when I first came into the space that used clothes in Africa is a $1 billion business over there. It's like
Sure is.
it's a big. Let me tell you, it's a $1 billion business. It's like you can't. Certain people can't import clothes into Africa without someone is controlling it. I forgot. I read an article about it. It was a big article and it was deep. Like it's so huge. It's a $1 billion corporation because they bring it into those countries and they buy it, because it's come from America. So when you see the kids and everything on that have stuff that our kids wear and adults that you look at these clothes, you're like, oh, he's got that jersey on. Oh, look at that hat he got. These are old clothes that they sell. They pick up. They literally pick them up from Salvation Armies and They get them from everywhere, and they get it for free here, but they sell it to these people for millions of dollars because it's a big business over there, very big business. And I land my plane. CC, what up?
Oh yeah, that's it's true. As an African professor named Dr. Mumbi Saraki. I was just talking about her earlier, kind of talked about that. She had a different spin on it. She said the system of white supremacy sends their used clothes, and this is Mumbi's her theory. She said it's a form of kind of like mental colonization because they send over, and I know you mentioned a Death Row T-shirt, but Mumbi said the majority of the clothes that come over, used clothes, are from Caucasian culture, and it kind of imbues Africans in the middle of the bush in the shanty towns with an ideology of "I want to be white." I can't really put it the way she put it, but it made sense to me. Um, let's see, Black Pack.
Hello, hello. Yeah, does jealousy damage FBA progress? From an outside perspective, like so background, Jamaican roots, it's kind of crazy because I think that the whole diaspora, and this is from speaking from personal experience, I think they're so jealous of Black Americans that it's crazy. So perfect example of this would be because you guys are just the epitome of progress, right? And when you think, and a lot of people they don't want to talk about the dirty laundry, but I mean in the Caribbean, man, these dudes, creepy uncles, molestation, rape, crazy. I remember, like I think it was Trinidad, they had like a whole march. Never have I ever seen some FBA women march talking about black men raping us crazy. Every other place, I'm guarantee you they had at least one. So it's just they just see you and they just see they just see what what they could be because they're looking at each other like, yo, I look phonetically, we look very similar. And then they go and they look at each other and they're like, yo, what the hell is this? And I think that's such a I think that psychological damage is so huge. That's why you just have everybody just trying to crash out, trying to pretend like, oh, we're better than you. That's why every single second they try to get is to compare themselves to you. Because psychologically they're just so buck broken that and they understand deep down that like the cultures are just never going to be the same. Like people like the righteous nature that you guys have is just isn't really it's just not there. It's not there in a lot of the diaspora, and they know this, right? And some of us will speak up on it and talk about it because some of us are just we're just real. We're not ashamed like that, you know. But I think as a whole, yeah, like so they're so jealous, it's crazy. And then I remember one time Tariq was talking about he was every time he touches on the movie Buck Broken, I think especially that movie, I feel like that hits home for a lot of people in the diaspora. A lot of people in diaspora are just so buck broken. It's absolutely insane. And then they see you guys and they're like, yo, like, what the hell? Like we supposed to be bad man this and we the tough guy this and yeah, we're the ones who kowtow to white supremacy.
That was my fault. I did that. Go ahead and unmute yourself. I was scrolling. I apologize.
No
Go
problem.
ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's like, it's crazy with the Jamaicans. It's funny because I asked my mom. I was like, "Yo, would you ever want to go back to Jamaica?" Oh no, there's only like one defibrillator and this and that, and but I'm like, yeah, but there isn't. I mean, there's so many of people now who like
One
doctors.
defibrillator?
I
Are
mean,
you
it.
serious? You're
I mean, the
joking.
the medical conditions there, you can even like grok that shit. It's terrible. Like they
I
basically,
never
if you
knew
get sick,
that.
you done. It
Oh
just is what it
no.
is. So like, no, that's why if you ever had, none of them ever want to go back. No one ever want to. But I'm like, yo, but there's so many like people who are doctors and they're like bigging each other up. They're like, hell no, they'll never go back. And and I think that's another part of it where the jealousy stems from because they like, dude, like they're just so ashamed of themselves, and I'll land myself. I'll land my plane with that. Like dudes are just really just jealous and ashamed of themselves, and so I appreciate that you guys are always the ones fighting the good fight. And that's why I follow you guys, man. So that's it.
I appreciate your honesty. I professed at a historically black college with a very young professor of computer science who claimed to have had a master's of MBA, master's of business administration, in with the emphasis in technology. And we had lunch one day because I was about to go to Ghana. I had never been. He's from Nigeria, and I was trying to get some advice on Ghana. Well, anyway, the gentleman was honest. He's too young to lie. He was like, Nigerians have a absolute vitriol and jealousy for Black Americans based off of what Black Pack just said. It said it's kind of like a self reflection thing. You look at your society, you look that you're in control of your land mass, you have ample resources, you have wonderful weather, and you don't have control over your social climate. Why? Because you have no trust. No established trust with each other. And you know what? From my studies, I've noticed, and it's my theory that that lack of trust came from the engagement in the slave trade. When you're selling your children, when you're selling your wife, when you're selling your neighborhood members to a European, a person that you don't understand, you have broken a covenant with an Almighty God. And in my view, you've kind of cursed your social dynamic, and they're still suffering from that curse. We've never engaged in moral um, degeneracy of anywhere near that magnitude. I dare somebody in this room to tell me of a FBA slave trade. Do you know of one? No. I dare somebody in this room to tell me of a documented FBA genocide. Do you know of one? No, because it doesn't exist. We haven't damaged ourselves on a spiritual level. And these jurisdictions, these places, these Nigerias, these places are dealing with a corrupted uh, social climate, a corrupted social fabric on a spiritual level. And unfortunately for them, the first step to cleaning that social fabric is to admit to it, admit to the degeneracy, and apologize to us for selling us in the first place. But pride gets in the way. Eclipse, what's on your mind?
How you doing, brother professor? And give all honors to you and sister Nikki and sister Wani. And I see brother Mikhail in the room. Give all honors to my FBA family. Um, this is the thing.
Eclipse, I kind of skipped over men's. I didn't mean to. I didn't see him
Oh, no
down there.
problem.
So we're gonna go to men's, and I'm gonna come right back to you. That's my fault.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Go ahead,
Yeah, there
man.
were some people who were on stage and they're in the background back saying, "Hey, are you using hands?" So I apologize to anyone who didn't get a chance to speak. I think it was one of these situations where certain people spoke because of the issue that happened today. So if you were up here and you didn't get a chance to speak, please come up and I'll let you speak.
Go ahead, man.
Hey, what's up, man? Brief me. What issue happened today? What I miss? What did I
Arthur
miss?
Arthur is being attacked because he's successful.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
He created the trust fund and he structured it in such a way where he's going to have the government, do something
Oh,
with it. But this is, let me tell you what the steps are. First of all, you have to get reparations. We didn't get reparations yet. So all of this arguing and fussing is based on getting reparations, which haven't been provided yet. Then the government has to look over his trust structure and say, okay, you can use this to disperse the reparations. They may not say yes. They may not say yes. These are huge hurdles. In the meantime, he's raising money to help people with their legal problems and post everything that he does, all the letters he sends, all the work that he does. I asked him to help me with something, and he really did go all out of his way to prepare that document so it looked, professional when I tried to present it to someone because I didn't really understand how they wanted it formatted. So he's not all these things, and to be called a grifter just for being very proactive and really running an anti-defamation league right off the app, confronting a lot of people doing things against us. So, yes, I know we don't trust people, and I'm right there with everybody. We've been ripped off a lot. A lot of organizations have stolen our money. I get that. But to just straight out call somebody a grifter, threaten them, and make all kinds of bullying moves around the app for years, as though somebody is scared. I'm not scared of Naeem at all. Okay, I don't care what he's talking about. Like I said, we really need to get to it. We need to say, okay, You want to bully me, you want to fight, let's go out to a park and settle it. Let's just, you bring your team you keep talking about, and let's fight it out. I'll bring my team. Let's fight. Because I'm tired of being bullied. I don't like being bullied. I'd rather just get it out of the way. I'd rather get it out of the way so I can proceed to do what I'm doing. Because at this point, you can't do anything. If you try to do something, you get called a grifter, you get attacked, you're showing off, you're clout chasing. And if you do things behind the scenes like I normally do 80% of the time, helping people with, I'm not a politician. I'm not an activist. I don't have any experience in that. And that's why when I first ran into this movement, I was hanging around Dawn, who said she was competent. I was hanging around um, Connie Collins because she had experience. I was
And your
looking up
best
to
working
them.
relationship was when you was hanging out with me. How about that?
Uh, okay, let's calm
I just
down a
want,
bit.
yeah, I wanted to jump in there because because if you'd have just said author, I would have knew exactly. Once you said author, I knew I was because I was listening. Um, Author has also, I have to give him credit. He has also helped me too. Only because you put it out there equally, I can't sit here and be oblivious or let anyone else be oblivious that he did give me some support with some documentation, not the policy, but some legal documentation. I'm gonna just say this, right? This ties into the topic. Now I understand why the topic is such. So um, ultimately, our efforts when it comes down to reparations are just that. All right. I'm a results driven person, and that's why we've been doing this for so long because I don't accept defeat, never did. And I assure you, I believe you're the same way. That's why you've been around for so long. You take your breaks, but you still stay. So I would say this: um, the less people we have aware and active, the higher the hurdle. And everything that's going on is to deter that particular motion, that direction. The more people you have involved, invested, doing whatever they can to their complete capacity, and those of them that don't know the scope of their capacity as of yet, um, the easier it would be to get exactly what we want. Author, I would say this: do I agree with him being called a grifter? I know I can't, but do I understand how that happened and why that happened? Absolutely. And the reason why is simply because in the last 6 years of how people communicate on social media, which is different on how people social. I don't the way people react on social media. I would think that a lot of us will be getting punched in the face over some of the decisions we've made and the reactions we get on social media. But then, you meet these people in these places and they're all open arms and loving and stuff and caring and so forth. Like, hey, family, so happy to see you. I'm so proud to see you. But why was that titled that way? This is why I can understand. It's because people, when it comes down to something they're working on, anybody's working on, right? Some people have a more drawn in, an attachment. They're more drawn in. It's more sentiment. It's more like it's your baby. It becomes like your child. Even though it's for everyone's benefit, the more you invest your time into it and dedication, the more you are devoted. And anything that you're really devoted in, you're going to you may not think the first time you do, you may, impulsive reactions. You may be a little impulsive. So that's why I can understand that. Do I think this is problematic that it happened? Yes, because the recovery phase, I think, is ultimately what's going to decide the impact of it. But I think that in time that people will realize that they could win about things the a different way, and that's because we're adults, and that's just the analyzation phase that most of us have, as we get older, and we try to be better, but we do get caught off guard sometimes. And I'm not playing both sides. I know how you feel about Naeem and everything. I mean, obviously there's something going on between y'all, you know, as far as whatever, right? You look, I'm not gonna say little beefs. I call it little beef because I know both of y'all like intellectually, and I think that like when it comes down to the work, y'all ain't gonna let any of your differences stop you from getting it done if it has to be done, if it calls for that, whatever day that is. So now, how does it pertain to the title? Uh, I think that alternatively, the way we view these things, it could look like jealousy, and I think in some cases it is jealousy. Do I think it is in this case? I can't determine that now. You know what I'm saying? But with all the other stuff that I've seen, with all the titles, people attacking, going attacking everybody, making a full circle. And it's not even like, well, you can't say that no more because it is some people that's not even Black American that's attacking, that's like behind the stuff, you know, these attacks too. And I think that there's people that are latching on to what the naysayers and these non-Black Americans are saying only because it fuels their own vitriol and jealousy. And I have proof. I have proof. I was going to send it to you a few minutes ago, Juan. If you check your inbox, you know how
Mhm.
you was attacked in a space you weren't in, and it was, and I got it today. By the way, I got it today, being in another space. But anyway, so I don't go into the babbling phase. Did Afrocentrics overcompensate? I wanted to get more clarification on what you mean by Afrocentrics. Like when you say Afrocentrics, are you talking like when I think of Afrocentrism, I think about the problem of Pan Africanism. Pan Africanism
Mhm.
became Afrocentrism.
Mhm.
So it's like, are you speaking of
Well,
like?
when the Eurocentric people wrote us out of history and just pretended like they had the Civil War without us, pretended that Matthew Henson didn't climb the mountain and the white boy did alone, and they just left us out of everything. We did not see ourselves in anything, never mentioned anything. I mean, it's called hidden figures. Why were those black women scientists, computer geniuses, people that calculated the moon landing? Why were they hidden? They did that to us. They buried us in their Eurocentric teachings, and they really miseducate their own people. I don't think the average white person wants to be not in the know, even if they want to be racist, they still want to know. So I think that if the trend is to tell the truth, which I hope it is, they're going to want to know what their people did and what their people didn't do because they're under the impression that they've created everything and including they think they've created all the instruments. That's funny. um
Yeah, it's like that movie Schindler's List. Schindler's List, how they wrote out, they literally, the Jews literally petitioned, so-called Jews petitioned the producer, the screenwriter, the script writer, and everything, and to not have any black actors because you know
mhm
the there was actually, you could find those somewhere, but there
mhm
are like pre-shot, there are like clips that they cut out that had black people in there because they was
yeah,
trying to represent exactly what happened. So it's like how
right,
they wrote us out. So it's the same concept,
yeah,
you know, and it's all because of their own. See, that's why like white supremacy. I don't think it's like just the white supremacy, like the ideology. I think there's Nigerian supremacy. I think there's is Jewish supremacy. The so-called Jews, that is. And I'm just trying to be respectful because I know there's some people who's like they're not the real Jews. But that's another proof right there. The whole thing, like how they're not even really the people. That's really the people they're calling themselves, right?
true.
And
They're
written
remnants
out, written
because
out.
they
We
ran themselves through Europe, so they're not the same people.
Yeah, we were written out the Bible. We written out fucking every goddamn thing. Like, but we're the architects of
Yeah,
every goddamn thing. Like everything is sourced from us. We are the source of America. Everything comes from us, and they know that. That's why. Look, if they really if they really felt, or if they really thought, or felt like it was rational that we are who they say we are, they would have eliminated us. many different ways. You know what I'm saying? Yes, there would have been many casualties, but in this surrounded body, in America, if they really thought if they really thought we were who they say we are, then they would be in desperate, they would be in crazy fear. They would have no choice. But ultimately, they know that it's not, and they know that we are the contributors, we're the architects, the source of everything, and without us, they wouldn't have anything to manipulate, to paint over and say is theirs. That kind of ties to the intentions of what you were talking about in the Civil War. Without us, they knew they would not win that war. The Union would not win that war. Without us, George Washington knew that the colonies here would not have won against the crown. See, but they will not. They know that without us, that they would not be able to give credit to themselves for any victories either. So it's more like they know who the source is, and history tells them, and it reminds them every day that they fall short, that they're failures. We are the victors, and they are the failures. They just always somehow get the spoils of everything, of the winnings. So I just wanted to lastly say, I was listening in that space where they were, questioning. Connie came in there and questioned. She was very gentle, I would say, but she also said she spoke with him prior. Um, and I think that this was just that the room title was a reaction. I don't think it's reflective of the entire body or like Friedman, because in the comments, right? Let me tell you what I found real problematic. This dude named Mel went in the comments and said, "Oh, look, Friedman fighting against Friedman." You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's actually Moors fighting against freedmen, but
oh,
okay.
oh Lord. So it's like, to see that, it's like, if we're all Black American, and you're talking about paperwork, and people who understand the Freedmen designation are not absolved from being Black American, right? It's not one or the other. In order for you to be a Freeman, you have to be Black American. It's a continuum.
But why couldn't that conversation happen on the telephone? Why does it have to be spilled out all over the timeline so we can look, uh, disorganized?
The same, and I would say, and then I would say to that, what if tomorrow one or the other realizes it could happen on the telephone? You know what I'm saying? Like that question is you have to think, everybody, see, you have that thought process. Everybody doesn't have your thought process, like, to where the first line of communication should be a message. Second line should be a phone call. Third line should
Just
be,
like when
yeah.
I agree, like when I was angry with Dawn, I contacted her, I texted her, I messaged her, I asked her to call me back, and she just, she asked you to do things and then throws you under the bus.
Well, see, now look at what
These-
you just did, right? But this
And
is,
so I put her ass on the timeline, but it takes a lot for me to do that. It
yeah.
takes a lot.
But yeah, there's a line, and people's, well, I call it tolerance, or, you know, I call it a tolerance. Some people have different levels and different lines, and some people's lines in certain places and areas are obviously more sensitive or extreme than others. Like when you cross that line, and I think we've all been guilty of reacting in a way that we thought that we could have reacted better. I still do run into that sometime. I was like, damn, I was supposed to change that about myself, and I didn't. But ultimately, does it damage FBA progress? I'm gonna say this, right, and I'm gonna say this. It goes two ways. I think if you're weak, if you're weak, um, and you're not really, it's like that the quote that Martin Luther King says, and people look at it totally different than how I look at it. You can't drive out hate with hate. You have to drive it out with love. And I paraphrase the hell out of it, but it goes something like
Oh
that.
Lord, no, I can't do that.
No, but see,
Check this out.
but look, the way I look at that is that if you really love something, you know what I'm saying, you will go much further than someone who hates it. Like, like you will go much further and you'll be more devoted for something you love and that could be anything, whether that's war, strategy, chess, politics, whatever. Like this, when you love something, nothing will stop you. It's like that unconditional love you have for your child. There's no excuses. Whereas hate, that's not something always that's typically permanent.
But I'm trying to find out with all these threats, these veiled threats, how are we going to get it straightened out?
You
Let's
gotta
get it
dethrone the
straightened out.
problems. You gotta dethrone the problems. That's what you
Because
gotta do.
we just need to meet up and get it straightened out.
I don't even think that would do it, because some people,
No, we
have
need to
ego
do
for
that
themselves.
because I don't want to keep doing it anymore. I'm not going to be threatened by him anymore. I'm done. I'm ready to meet up and bring teams.
Yeah, you sound like that movie, Warriors and shit. Like,
Whatever. I'm
yeah.
still able to do it.
But I can't. I look.
Warriors come
Yeah,
out
I
to
can't.
play.
Yeah, I can't. Look. Why? Look. Like, I can't. I can't. I can't. I'm not a good mediator. So, some
Well,
people
I
say I am,
have,
but I'm
like I
not a good
said
mediator.
before, I have not. We had that room that had Moors in the title, and he literally thought that was about him, as though we don't have a Moor sitting right in the room that was discussing it. The room had nothing to do with him or his little friend. So he was wrong on that. He tried
Well,
to,
there was opportunity for
he
clarification.
doesn't want clarification. We said go listen to the recording, but he wanted to debate Moors. And I didn't. And then when I tried to do it, I was muted a million times. I'm about to uh, clip the recording so people can see how you get treated when you try to speak to this individual. It's a lot of bullying, and I want it to end. I want to make it end
I think
because
this is a challenge.
I don't like bullies. I want to make that
But what
clear.
about this? What about this? And I'm
I
done with
know
this.
how to get rid of bullies. There's only one way
But
to get rid of them.
but,
Because this playing on the internet is tiring. I'm done with it. We need to
I want
meet up and straighten it out.
well, I wanted to finish on that topic on FBA progress. I think that when it comes down to our progress, that, like I said, if you're really into it, things are going to cause you to evolve, right? Even things that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? And what I typically do at some point, it may not happen the day of, it may not happen a week later. I look at myself on how I can actually advance. You know what I'm saying? So it's not wasted because just having chaos, and getting to a point of contention or arguments and all that stuff, and then moving forward and feeling like nothing happened from that makes me feel like I lost because I gave time and it was worthless.
But I
So
was never,
to make it worthwhile, I use it to reinvent myself. And I think that that's what other people. I think that, like, when it comes down to us as a collective, as people, I think we've done that for forever. That's what
and
makes us
see,
so
the issue is
innovative.
I'm not going to, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to have any of this characterized as a cat fight or anything. This is not a cat fight. This is a person who is angry that people don't want to be from the Levant region in his mind, okay? Got mad about it on the OMB description, held a grudge, ran up on me on the timeline when I wasn't even paying attention, and started screaming about I made some description of our lineage and that was stupid in essence. He's the one making the moves, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm telling you now, because he's got me blocked. Let him know he needs to meet up with me. We need to settle this. He's always talking about his team. Bring your team. Bring your team.
Yeah, I'm not a message carrier. That's like plain telephone.
Somebody go
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, but you obviously reached your threshold at this moment. And but
I'm
I truly,
done. I'm
yeah.
done with the bullies. And he
Uh,
had his little chicken head friend to open up a room. Okay. She's always running around talking about who's doing the work and mad at people doing work because it puts a shadow on them.
That would encourage. That would. I think that encourages people to do more work, though. Look at
Well, we're
yourself.
trying, but we're being attacked.
They ain't no trying. You're either
I
doing or you're
was
not
called a
doing. There ain't no
grifter
trying in
yesterday, and
that.
I'm like, what did I grift? I don't understand it.
Oh, you got called a grifter?
That's all. That's the only word idiot ass knows is grifter. He knows one word. That's his favorite word. Remember, he called KD a grifter when she raised $40,000 for Tennessee, and the bitch had to apologize for calling her a grifter. She turned all that money over. He's always calling people grifters because he's
Well, he
jealous.
apologized. You can't. You got to give credit to
No, I'm
that.
not giving him credit. He should have shut his fucking mouth.
You know. Yeah. Well, on that note, I mean, hopefully, I responded to the title accordingly, and
He
my
needs
answer
to meet
suffice.
up because I'm not going to be bullied on the app. I don't want to talk to him anymore. He doesn't need to say anything about anything anybody's doing. Because, like I said, bottom line, what the fuck are you going to do about it if somebody has a fund? If somebody is doing a project, if somebody's raising money for Tennessee, what is he going to do about it? That's what we really need to get to the bottom line of the question.
I'm
What?
about to start me a crowd fund, and I dare
Yeah,
somebody to say some shit to me.
yeah. What is Roz's ass? What is Naeem's ass going to do about it? That's what I want to know.
I think ultimately, uh, both sides, or I don't know how many sides there is to this, but at this point, I really
Because
don't.
they're more violent statements about shooting people and punching people,
Wait,
and their
wait, wait,
little
wait.
hostile memes about throwing people upside the wall. Yeah, we
Yeah,
need to get we need to get
I'm
all of that
sorry. I'm
out
not
of.
aware of that. I'm not aware
Well,
of
I
people
am.
talking about shooting.
I
Except
am.
for
Go listen to the
I know that
recording
I know that he was threatened. I seen that recording. I know that he was threatened,
by
and
Jake. Yeah.
to get his. I think something like shoot your. I can't remember. It was like
Yes,
blow your
Jake
face
was
off or some
Jake
shit.
threatened his life. That's correct. I heard it.
Yeah, I think that's really unacceptable. As adults, because some of us, are capable of. I'm not going to even say that, but I'm going to just say this. I just think that's just unacceptable behavior. Ultimately, at that point, I
But
can't.
he doesn't have the same interest in going back and forth with Jake. That's what's so funny. Jake threatened to kill his ass and he didn't have anything to say. He's got a lot of smoke for me, and all I did was defend Friedman for 2 days. Why am
Uh,
I getting smoke? Anybody know? I defended Friedman for 2 days and I got a bunch of threats, mutes, blocks, and smoke.
yeah, I'm trying my best not to reflect on any of that because
No, I
no,
don't want you in
yeah,
the middle of it.
yeah, I don't want to be in the middle of this shit. I don't think anybody does really. I think that you're going to still continue your path, and if anything, like you have done, is going to advance or help you, be more tactful, which will have better, results. I think that's what I'm saying. Is ultimately, does this damage FBA progress? No. I think that those of us that are really in this shit uses these things as step ups. Like it is just only a matter of time before we determine that time not to be wasteful, by taking a lesson out of it and not a loss. I think that's one thing that's great about us. Like, is that we're not canceling each other out, and we do see the pitfalls that do the remnants of pitfalls in our community, and we're against that. We're against waste. Like we how all this smoke that we have for each other and this energy is like I'm not against a fair one. Man to man, I'm never against that. A one on one, I'm never against that. But when it comes down to getting the work done and everything, what's really worth my time? What I'm saying? What's really worth my time? And if I'm going to put myself in jeopardy as a father and everything with somebody else and yourself, put yourself in jeopardy or your work, why this shit? Zimmerman is still walking around. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, like, the long term thinking comes into play. Like, if I'm this fucking mad, You know what I'm saying? Am I more mad at this person because something they said versus this other person because something they did, like killing a fucking child? You know, so when it comes, the scales don't, they're not balanced in that, and that's one thing that like kind of gives me more restraint. You know, my last line of defense when I do get into these psychological conflicts of you know where I want to actually where I feel like I want to hurt someone. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, if I really have this much energy to go do that and plan and strategize to get that done, then why not have that same energy for something that made me feel much worse? Anyway, um, I mean, I hope y'all get through it and stuff, man. I didn't know what I was walking into with that, but I apologize. Y'all feel that way, or you feel
Yeah.
that way.
Well, yeah, I feel like we need to get past violent threats or whatever it's going to take to get over that hump because I'm not going to listen to it anymore from any of these people.
Well, again, Wani, with respect to that situation, remember Robert Greene says, "quote There are always hostile people, destructive relationships. The only way to break out of a negative dynamic is to confront it. Repressing your anger, avoiding the person threatening you is always looking to consolidate. These common strategies spell ruin. Avoidance of conflict becomes a habit and you lose a taste for battle. Feeling guilty is pointless. It's not your fault you have enemies. Feeling wrong or victimized is equally futile. In both cases, you're looking inward, concentrated on yourself and your feelings. Instead of internalizing a bad situation, externalize it and face your enemy. It's the only way out. That's what Robert Greene said.
I agree. That's the only way that I dealt with all my bullies. And all my bullies are all jacked up. I looked them up. You know, it's fun to look up your high school, your middle school. My middle school bully is an Italian boy. And he's got like a bunch of DUIs and he punched his girlfriend in the face a bunch of times. So, yes, things are still going great for him. The other ones, you don't even want to know. He was the good one. He turned out, that bully turned out good. So, yeah, these other bullies, we need to hook up. We need to hook up so we can not have to hear these little direct threats, veiled threats, violent memes, and any other bitch made things that need to occur. Just get it out of your system because
Prof-
I'm not going to live like that.
Professor, can you read law number 25?
25.
Yeah, that's one
Stand
of my
by.
favorite laws.
Stand by. Let's see. 25. 25 says,
Law number 7 and law number 25 is my favorite laws, man.
25 says, occupy the moral high ground. It says aim at soft spots in their public image, exposing any hypocrisies on their part. Do not whine or get angry. Fight fire with fire. It's kind of what Adonis was saying. Position yourself as the underdog, the victim, the moderate. Learn to inflict guilt is a moral weapon. So that's kind of like psychological warfare. Um, let's see the summary of it. The keys.
Be the master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you.
That's exactly what yeah, it's basically what Adonis was saying. Yeah, psychological warfare. It's true. It's true. Guard your image like a mother. And I think that's kind of that. Believe it or not, that's interesting that you bring up that rule because that's what Wani is doing. That's what Arthur is doing. They're being the master of our image, of our likeness. They're defending our likeness. They're showing that we're upstanding, competent, um, scholarly human beings that are on owed a debt, and people are coming out the woodworks challenging them. So it's interesting. You should bring that rule up. If y'all want to talk, raise your hand. For some reason, I don't always see hands. I see Denmark's hand. Go ahead, Denmark.
Hey, is
My
it
Oh,
safe to
oh,
answer.
come up now? Yeah.
Denmark. I'm sorry. I told Eclipse. Eclipse raised his hand. I told Eclipse he could go.
No
Me,
taxation.
Okay.
Oh, I
me.
didn't even
Okay.
see
All
no
right.
Just
taxation.
passed off.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. Y'all passed over me, but I did doze off for a hot.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
no, no, I called you earlier.
Oh,
No,
I
I
dozed
called you. You didn't
off.
say nothing.
I dozed off a minute, but I'm back.
Go ahead.
How you doing? How's everybody?
Doing well, doing well. I forgot you were up there because I had called you several times, but you went to sleep or
I
something. But
did. I dozed off sitting in the chair.
got it. Go
I
ahead.
want to ask a couple questions first. Um, Friedman, is that lineage?
Yes, it's a lineage of human beings that were emancipated after the that word. I don't want to say free.
Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay.
Yeah, after the 13th Amendment, so that created a lineage. Now that's the interesting thing because the lineage itself is an amalgamation. We're a mix of different things, thereby creating a whole new lineage. But yes, we are a lineage.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
And the
that's the
amount and
lineage.
the Emancipation Proclamation. I was having that conversation today with somebody, and they said something that I hadn't heard of. They said it was not about freeing the slaves; it was about telling white folks to leave us alone.
Well, that the Emancipation Proclamation is it's very complicated. You have to know the history to understand the mystery. That's what Professor James Small
I
says. Go ahead,
I
Wani.
don't understand. White folks that leave us alone. Which white
Well,
folks?
the enslavement part, like you can't. It was really their opinion was that it was really directed toward the white slave owners to say this is what you cannot do anymore.
Oh, so basically, you guys can't own slaves anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
yeah.
Altomatic's attorney at law brought that argument to the light, and
Oh, so it's not a new argument.
it's controversial, but it's true. Now it's important to know that emancipation, the word, is not mentioned in the Constitution. The 13th Amendment is um the provision in the Constitution that gave us I'm gonna say relative freedom. I'm not gonna say the black freedman is free,
Yeah.
but uh the motion that triggered 13th Amendment was the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, it's important to note that Frederick Douglass, Lincoln didn't give a fuck about black people, and he had no interest in giving us any type of freedom, none whatsoever. But he was losing the war. He was losing the Civil War to them white boys from the South who had a history of warfare. If you travel through my home state of Alabama, up near Huntsville, you'll see a bunch of markers for a bunch of military colleges that don't exist anymore. All they did in the South was study how to shoot and kill. And you match that culture with General Robert E. Lee, graduate of West Point, for the Confederate Army, and you had an elite group of soldiers that were kind of beating the shit out of the Union Army. So on Lincoln, when he was getting his ass whooped through a chance occurrence, met with Frederick Douglass, who didn't have a law degree. And Frederick Douglass, in all his genius, a formerly enslaved, tortured person, had enough massive forethought to make a deal with Lincoln. He said, basically, you want to win this war? I got you. I got your army. I got the slaves. The 54th Regiment, what would become the 54th Regiment in Massachusetts, under the leadership of Colonel Robert Shaw, a white man, very brave white man, by the way. But uh, Frederick Douglass had enough sense to just not give it to him like that. What's that dude? Jim Crow. That guy in South Carolina, Jim Crow. What's his name? Jim Clyburn.
Clyburn,
Yeah, you know how you talking about. Well, we don't want none. We don't want
Clyburn,
none. He makes me
Clyburn.
want to. He makes me want to vomit because guess what? Frederick Douglass wanted something. He did. Frederick Douglass said, "I'm gonna give you the slaves, but you're gonna give us our freedom." Lincoln was a lawyer, a real creepy, slimy lawyer, but a good one. And he said, "Nah, I'm not gonna free you. I'm gonna emancipate you." Now, if anybody's ever had a child, been through a divorce, or had a child custody hearing, we know that. removing parental rights is called emancipation. You have an emancipation hearing when the child is getting taken from the parents. Emancipate comes from the Latin word emancipare, which means to transfer. It don't mean free worth a damn, and it means transfer in the context of transferring a slave, like a child from parent to parent. So that under that the legal theory, automatics argued that we were never freed. Our ownership, like a child from a parent to parent, our ownership was transferred from private white slave owners, like you were saying, no taxation, to the government system. It's an interesting argument.
It, yeah, it is. It was very interesting. First time I ever heard it was today. Now let me ask you this: FBA, is that lineage?
Yeah, we're talking about the same thing, different names for the same
Okay.
thing.
Okay. And then, of course, Negro. That's on my birth certificate, so I know about that. Um, I know the rest of them that go back further. Um, Moor, is that lineage?
I don't know. Wani, what do you think? Is that a religion or a lineage? I don't know.
I found three different definitions for more, which which one of them I was made privy to recently. But I know one of them is a North African Muslim, another one is a person from Morocco, and another one, which the one I became privy to, was a brown melanated or a brown hue melanated person.
Well, Dr. Chancellor Williams says that term was paraphrasing. So the term was co-opted. It meant a jet black lineage of Men's just said, from Morocco, Mauritania, hence Moor. That was a lineage of jet black people. But Dr. Chancellor Williams said when the Western Asians, also known as the Arabs, start going through and raping people and forcing them into Mohammedanism, they start calling themselves Moors, kind of like white men call themselves cowboys because the black men were calling themselves cowboys and looking real cool on the horses. So who knows?
Okay, and this is the last one. And this is for Wani. The same people that tried to destroy ADOS are the same people that are trying to destroy the Negroes and FBA. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Thanks for the mic.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna shut the space down pretty shortly. I got a couple more speakers. Eclipse, been waiting patiently. Sorry for skipping over your Eclipse.
Oh,
Go
not a
ahead.
problem. Not a problem. Yeah, I just wanted to just throw out a few facts out there for the family when it comes to our the tethers and Africans over in Africa and different countries in the diaspora, that they do have a jealousy of us foundational Black Americans due to, like they say, we're really close to the whiteness, and that they want that access to whiteness, and also the impact that we have on the global scale, that they do not have. Every like brother Paul Mooney broke down, everybody, the black man and black woman is the most copied black man and black woman in the world. Bar none. Nobody else want to copy no other black person but the black man and black woman, the foundational black man and black woman. So the jealousy is heavy within that. The self hate with us, it's a bad situation. Definitely the ones that comes over here. That's the main ones that hate us. Is the ones that flee the battles that they have going on in their own countries over there in the continent or in the Caribbean. And then secondly, when we talk about the white supremacists over there in Rome, like they say in the Catholic, the Pope, they practice heavy in the white supremacy sector on the top. But when they go down in the basement, they pray to a black deity. You see, they understand our power as melanated people. But in the system of white supremacy, on the global system of white supremacy, they know they have to keep us mentally defeated and mentally down. But we like brother Tariq constantly break down, and the rest of the scholars within our FBA community breaks down that FBAs, we are the only ones that's been constantly fighting against white supremacy nonstop. You see, with no breaks. And even on a global scale, even when we go, I have been international as well in the Caribbean or in the diaspora in the continent. You know, the white folks over there, when they see an FBA over there and they try to pull some stunts, and we look at them like they're crazy, they can tell, they can sense the energy of the FBA man and woman compared to the African man and woman. You see, they can sense that. Like, I don't think they want to see. We got so much of a an effect on the global scale of rebellion, of fighting back, of going against the system. Even they don't want to challenge us. Even on the global scale, even when we come in as guests, you see. So I always wanted to say on the Afrocentric situation on the global scale that we have over, which is true, we have overcompensated the Pan Africanism when it hasn't been reciprocated. I just want the thing I want for our brothers and sisters on the global scale to understand is that we trying to get some things situated here in the states. You see, once and they don't understand this. I don't understand why they don't. I know they love and praise the white man and white woman, but we're trying to get these reparations because it is old, because of our ancestors, and people try to talk about slavery like it was so long ago, and it was not that long ago. It was just, we could say it was just yesterday. You see, because my grandmother was born in 1940. You see, and her mother was born in the 1899, 1900. So it's just the slavery aspects, and the last slave died in the 70s, living slave. So it's ridiculous how people want to belittle um, our ancestors and the things that they've been through, and how it's ridiculous that other black folks and Africans wants to constantly put us down on our reparations when they don't even understand when we get our reparations. That was will it will be an echo chain throughout the diaspora for them to get their reparations as well. And that's what that's one thing want to understand why they just not. It's like they not getting it. It's not clicking. They have so much self hate, so much defeat in their hearts that they cannot fathom justice. And I always tell people this: the United States will never be at peace until they pay what's owed, give us those reparations. And the thing about it is, we will get the reparations because it's a divine thing to do. It's gonna happen because that's a divine thing to do. Just like we was in shackles, we got out the shackles. People didn't believe we was gonna get out them shackles. We got out the shackles. We got out of Jim Crow. People thought we was gonna be in Jim Crow forever. We got out of that. So it's levels to it. You see that we it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So I don't want none of my FBA brothers and sisters to ever give up on the fight. Um, or lose confidence in this situation. But that's I'm gonna land my plane, and God bless you all, FBA family, and stay peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you look in the Jumbotron, you'll find Wani Spots and Nikki the God's Cash App. Show them love for their scholarship, dedication, hard work, in defense of the truth. In addition, you'll find my Cash App at Our Story Publications. If you want a copy of my book, put $25 on Our Story Publications. Put your full address and full zip code and your name, and I'll send it out to you when I send the other copies this weekend. If you bought my book this week, I had several purchases this week. Look forward to receiving your copy next week. Um, we're going to go to a couple more speakers. I saw Denmark, and I feel like it was one more person, but Denmark and let's see, this is somebody that hadn't spoke before. It was Denmark and oh, he must have left. Okay, Denmark. Go ahead, Denmark.
Hey, Professor.
What's going
Good
on, brother?
evening. How you doing this evening
Oh
or
man, chilling.
afternoon where you are? What is it? I don't know.
No, I'm in
But
Atlanta.
anyway,
It's 1 o'clock in the morning.
oh, you in Atlanta? I thought you was in California for some reason.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Oh, okay. Oh man, shit, you right out here. All
Yeah,
right. But
we
yeah,
got to kick
hey,
it
good
sometime,
evening.
bro.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Miss Nikki, good afternoon, evening, whatever, where you are in on the spot. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hello. Listen, I just got two questions. Is no taxation? Yeah, no taxation is still up. I have a question for no taxation, and then a question for you, Professor Miss Nikki, or on the spot, whoever wants to answer it. Hopefully, all three of you will take a stab at it. But my first question is for no taxation. She said that the same people who I wrote it down tried to tear down ADOS is also trying to tear down somebody in FBA. I forgot who the somebody was. Who was that somebody? No taxation. You said somebody in FBA.
I don't remember saying it like that.
Oh, could you please repeat it? And I apologize
I
if
said the
I got
same
it
people.
incorrect.
No,
I didn't
and
mean to
I
put
may
words
have
in
it
your mouth.
incorrect. I may have it incorrect too because I had dozed off and I just woke up. But anyway, the same people that tried to destroy ADOS are the same people that are trying to destroy Arthur in the Freedmen, Wani, and I don't know what she represents, if she represents Freedmen or FBA or what. Those are all the same people. That's why I asked the question to the professor because I did hear uh, both of the spaces, professor, about the Moors. It was really kind of over my head. But I wondered, were the Moors of our lineage? Because I know that Naheem was a Moor. But if is it like once you're a Moor, you're always a Moor? I don't know how that works. And
The
is it
Moors are not our lineage at all. In fact, they petitioned to not be considered Black Americans. They came over here in 1790 and wanted nothing to do with being enslaved, obviously, and wanted to be perceived as something other. And so that's what the other guy that's a Moor was saying. He said that Moors don't have anything to do with reparations for Black Americans. That's not that has nothing to do with them. So he was asking a legitimate question. And this is what I'm saying. I'm out here defending the term freedman. Naeem is not. He's defending the term Moor and opened up a room to go at me over Moors. And it was like, I wasn't even debating him. I don't need to debate him on Moors. We had a room that had Moor in the title, and he, as a narcissist, thought it was about him, and it wasn't about him at all. And the room is recorded, um,
and it
and
was a
it had
it was a
nothing to do
great
with
room.
him.
Yeah,
And
and
he
I
he
heard a
actually
lot of
thought
information from that young
he
man.
his head is so gassed up he thought the room was about him, and so did his little friend, Mr. Ali. He thought that too and told me, stop talking about Moors. I'm recording it now. How are you going to tell a grown woman to stop talking about Moors?
Or stop talking about anything.
What, and assuming that you're the only person interested in the topic. Moors are slave sellers.
Well, this here's what
Moors
I
are
know.
not our lineage and not our status. He's not a Moor. Naeem is from the South. Okay.
Oh,
He's
so he's
taking
like,
on, yeah, he's just fake. Okay. He's just a faker. It's a
So
well,
joke.
that
my
is
my
so. This is what the second or third group that he's been with. So he went with them, then with the yeah. This is his third group. He's on his third group. You know
my
how
my
Who?
my,
groups
my
switch up.
my second question is to
Oh, did I answer the question, Denmark?
yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you so
Okay.
much, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, my second question is to Professor Nikki on the spot, and anybody else uh, time providing, Professor. But yeah, I came into the space a little bit late. Just got here maybe 20 minutes ago or so. But I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts are on Arthur Watkins' proclamation of being the sole, you know, distributor of reparations coming from the federal government. How do y'all feel about that? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, one of the
Is that what
things
he's saying?
one of the
Yes.
things that I would say, what I was saying earlier, is that this is if you get reparations. Nobody has reparations, number one. Until then, he's raising money for defending freedmen that have legal problems and showing every receipt. Receipt of sending letters, the letters, the responses to the letters. So he has been very transparent on that, right? The second thing is the federal government has to approve for this trust he set up to do this, to distribute money. That's another huge hurdle that we're nowhere near. Nowhere near. That's another issue. And then I think what he's trying to do is usually people like Narcan and Cobra, they get millions of dollars. And that's why they have, every time we form a task force, that's why there's a bunch of Africans and Caribbeans propped up on it already being paid to sit there because they have the money to pay people to do to sabotage our reparations. So they know that if Narcan and Cobra get to distribute the funds, we're never going to get the funds because they're not interested in freedmen. So he formed something just for freedmen. No one else did. And yes, there's going to be beneficiaries. Yes, there's going to be oversight. They're not going to dump trillions of dollars in Arthur Watkins' wallet and then he just runs off. How could you can't even steal trillions of dollars. Let's be real. Let's be real. I
Not
think
trillions,
it's
but hundreds of billions.
well, you
No, no, no,
listen,
no,
you're
and don't get
you
me
know what
wrong.
I'm
I'm not
saying.
saying that
It's
that's what
hard to
Arthur's intent is. I'm not, but I'm just saying. I'm not
now
saying that's his intent.
Let
now
me
I'm
Good.
ask
not
this. Let me ask this because is it on the? I didn't read the letter and all that. I didn't read the letter at all. But the post, I read his post briefly. I skimmed over it. Isn't there a bank involved somewhere? Didn't he make a relationship with
yeah,
a bank? Yeah,
exactly.
ain't no bank finna let nobody play with no money. If anybody gonna play
Right.
with some money, it's gonna be the bank.
The bank is involved. He's also got some other people that will be
Yeah,
involved in the government. So this is just pure jealousy and hate
And my thing,
because he's very proactive and they're not. They
yeah,
just sit on there and talk about what they're doing and then we never see any results.
and no,
yeah.
but here's the thing: nobody, the ACLU, the Caucasians form the ACLU and like organizations, and nobody says a fucking word. But a foundational black American comes and tries to form an organization to fight for us, and everybody has something to say. I'm sick and tired of that mantra.
You know the old saying though, Professor. You should know it better than me because you was born in Alabama. You got to fight black folks to help them. That's all.
Hey,
That's
Miss
all.
Nikki, Miss Nikki, did you have an injection? Oh, Miss Nikki might be asleep. Hey, but
No, 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 I wasn't asleep. I was just asking if that's what he was really claiming, that he was the sole person who was doing that. And you said, yeah,
well,
that was all I
I'll
was,
put it
only
in
question I
the
had.
blue pill. No, yeah, and just I would like to give my little submission. It's going to be really quick. I think that there should be something set up to facilitate, allocate, oversee the stuff like healthcare, education, and all that their type stuff. But when it comes to my moolah, my money, send that shit directly to my mailbox. Don't pass go. So that directly to my mailbox, just the way you would do a fucking social security check or a disability check or anything, you know. But the other stuff, and I do appreciate all the work that Arthur is doing far with his organization. That's great stuff, especially around those people out there in Atlanta who were attempting to degrade the legacy of Dr. King and his family. You know, so I appreciate all that there type stuff. But when it comes to my moolah, no, and this ain't for Arthur. This goes for Naeem. This goes for Narc and Cobra. This goes for everybody. Don't put your fingers on my moolah. Um, but anyway, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Denmark. Good to see you.
Good,
Our
good to see y'all too. Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Last words go to Dr. Bushmeat. What's on your mind, Dr. Bushmeat?
What's going on, Professor Nick? You want everybody in the room? Question of the room. Uh, I I don't really think in certain cases it's jealousy and people just mad because they wasn't the first to do whatever and so called how they names in the history books. And then somewhat, I think it's a bit of like some classism. People want to be the the replacement of the white man instead of just everybody being free and actually self-identifying. Then that add on to the people who are actually scared of seeing what liberation is really like. And we do have to deal with those type of issues because it comes from, I don't know if it comes from insecurity of trauma that we have been through it and the manipulation of the government, but we do have to deal with that leftover baggage that we have hanging over a lot of sectors of our community because that's one reason why we end up breaking up into different sectors and people pick up these crazy ideologies and want to combat against what we doing because at the end of the day it it's a competition and you know we thrive off of competition. uh that's why I kind of say it's not jealousy because we that's why capitalism kind of worked for us because cap the competition make us strive for the best. It brings the best out of us. It makes me think of like Prince and MJ. They didn't like each other. They just had a friendly spat that brung out the best of them. And I feel like at this moment it's bringing out the best of our people, and everybody want to show up and prove that they can help liberate us instead of just staying in their own individual lanes and dealing with what they good at. And once we focus on who is good at what, and you pick your lane and stay on that, we can stop bumping heads and stop name banging. This because this name banging shit, I ain't gonna lie, this shit get on my nerves. it I be feel like anybody that's pushing some name banging, I'm gonna look at you side eye anyway. And like you bringing unnecessary drama for nothing, and we know that our people have been classified all these things. So yeah, I'll land there. Hope everybody have a good night. Happy Friday.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, bro. Does jealousy damage FBA progress? Yes, it does. Looking back at history, that erases the mystery. I want y'all to imagine how far would we have been as as a lineage if jealous people within Dr. King's circle didn't have him shot. Read Reverend Ralph Abernathy's biography. He talks about how certain people in his circle allowed things to happen. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and type in Reverend Billy Kyles, Dr. King slip up, or Reverend Billy Kyles, Dick Gregory, Reverend Billy Kyles. Dick Gregory released a video um, years after King was assassinated, where Reverend Billy Kyles, in his old age, slipped up and said, "quote As I moved out the way so they could get a clear shot." That's what Reverend Billy Call said as I moved out the way so they could get a clear shot. That's what he said. Um, Jealousy has been a big problem in our circles, and as I said earlier, it comes from meritorious manumission, which was a government policy, a sponsored policy by the United States government to reward um, foundational Black Americans for snitching on each other, for creating an invention, and or protecting a white supremacist. So if you look at it, hampering and slowing down foundational Black American progress is protecting the system of white supremacy. We're looking at meritorious manumission. Let's get over it, people. We can make money and we can thrive together as a family. Matter of fact, that's the ideal way to thrive, right? Last but not least, did Afrocentrics overcompensate? Yeah, they did. The system of white supremacy swung the pendulum to one to the way to the direction of of blacks not creating or doing anything of substance, and to counter that, Afrocentrics overcompensated and overcorrected and said things happened that didn't. You know, we weren't all from Africa. We all didn't speak Kiswahili and we all didn't wear dashikris. Matter of fact, a lot of us were from right here in the United States of America, which is our land based identity and our birthright. It's our land. Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all today. I learned a lot. And this was a space on conflict resolution. Remember what Robert Greene said? Let me find it again. It was worth mentioning again. He said something interesting about conflict that I think all of us could get something out of because we've been taught by psyop to turn the other cheek. I don't believe that that was actually spoken in biblical texts. I think that was kind of put in there because it doesn't make sense. I used to teach physics. Nature is physics. And in nature, for every action, there's an opposite or equal reaction. Turning the other cheek is against nature. Robert Greene says, quote, the only way to break out of a negative dynamic is to confront it. That's the only way. He says, repressing your anger, which is what we've been taught to do, right? Avoiding the person threatening you, always looking to consolidate. Don't that sound like us? These common strategies spell ruin, and they spelled ruin with Dr. King. Dr. King turning the other cheek with fucking lunatics blowing up little girls in my church. 16th Street Baptist Church is the church I got baptized in, and it spelled ruin for us. It made these psychopaths even more bloodthirsty because they felt there was no consequence. Robert Greene says avoiding conflict becomes a habit. You lose the taste for battle. Feeling guilty is pointless. It's not your fault. You have enemies. Feeling wrong or victimized is equally futile. In both cases, you are looking inward, concentrating on yourself and your feelings. Instead of internalizing a bad situation, externalize it and face your enemy. It's the only way out. And I agree with that. Ladies and gentlemen, I enjoyed y'all. I learned a lot. Wani Spots, did you have any final words?
Yes, like I said earlier, we need to meet up because I don't want any of these people thinking they have the right to bully people when they're trying to do the work. I need to meet up with the people doing the threats. If they want to meet up, we need to meet up because he keeps saying he has a team. I have a team. We need to settle this because I'm not going to be run up on for nothing because I have more in a title of a room and he thinks he's the only person that owns that information. I'm not going to be run up on every time I try to research our lineage and it doesn't come back being from the Levant region and that infuriates him and his friend. I'm not going to be bullied anymore. So we're going to need to resolve the bullying and the opening up rooms to fight over previous rooms. So anybody who can set that up, let me know because I'm blocked. All these men have me blocked. So I can't talk to them anymore about it. Jake as well.
Yeah, I would say to that. As a former Supreme Court mediator, not Supreme Court. I'm sorry, federal court mediator. There is more than one way of conflict resolution. I would hope that conflict is resolved in a professional manner, but conflict does need to get resolved. History has taught foundational Black Americans that avoiding problems and not confronting problems only makes them fester and grow. So, conflict. I'm all for conflict resolution. Thank you, Wani. Nikki, did you have any final words?
Good night, everyone.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will see y'all tomorrow and see you later on Tariq's show. Have a good night. Visit Our Story Publications, dollar sign Our Story Publications to purchase my book for $25. Visit Nikki the God's Cash App and Wanish the Spots Cash App in the Jumbotron. Y'all have a great night, and I'll